If the Golden State Warriors want to be a good team, everyone, it involves Jonathan Kuminga being damn good. Not just a solid player here and there, not just coming out for spurts, but what we've seen the last two nights. One without Steph Curry and tonight with 34 in back-to-back games. Warriors needed every single one of them. Let's talk about a dub on today's Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Clap it up for JK, everyone. Jonathan Kuminga, 34 points of the game, attacking the rim, grabbing boards with 9 of them as Golden State hangs on. I guess hangs on isn't necessarily the right word. They come back to take down the Phoenix Suns 109-105 in the game and improve to 16-15, staying above the Mendoza line. That is what the Warriors needed. Welcome into Locked On Warriors, everyone, a late night Saturday show as we break down Golden State's win here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can find the show on YouTube, also wherever you get your audio podcasts. And if you're checking us out on YouTube for the first time or for many times and aren't subscribed to the show, it's free. I appreciate it. I'm staying up late with you on a Saturday and appreciate the thumbs up and those subscriptions more than you will ever know. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it is not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We also have a daily newsletter that's delivered right to your inbox. It's also free. Everything with this program is free. Subscribe to that, lockedondaily.com. It'll give you nuggets. It'll give you news. It'll give you NBA news as a whole. And we'll also give you a link right here to the show. My name's Charlie Walter. Covered the team for 3 seasons, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Also for CBS News Bay Area. Saw them win the championship in 21-22. Let's break down the win. More specifically, let's break down what Jonathan Kuminga just did to the Phoenix Suns. Because for the first time in a very long time, and I would imagine there's at least a few people, maybe a handful, maybe the majority of people watching this show that said down the stretch, get the ball out of Curry's hands. Let's give it to Jonathan Kuminga. It seriously felt that way to me. With the way the game was going, I mean, I was just waiting for a whistle and for Kerr to take him out due to exhaustion because he was playing a lot of minutes down the stretch. I mean, did he play the entire fourth? Entered the game with yada, yada, yada. I'm going through the whole thing. I mean, he was in the entire fourth quarter with Jonathan Kuminga. They couldn't take him out. You got to play him. You got to run him 35 minutes in this game, and that's what they did. Before we get into Jonathan Kuminga's performance as a whole, I got to point out that the reason the Warriors were able to come back and win this game was due to defense. Because Phoenix made it look like the Warriors were going to have another loss in this game when Josh Okogie hit a 3 to go up 191 with 6 minutes and 48 seconds. Golden State held Phoenix scoreless until the 29-second mark in the game from that point on. Held them scoreless. Incredible defense from the Warriors. And then Jonathan Kuminga just took over on offense. A lot of things happened down the stretch. It was kind of a strange ending to this game. Let's just run through the entire thing. Because Curry starts shooting threes, gets some good looks off the dribble, misses, and I'm thinking, why'd they go away from Jonathan Kuminga? He had scored how many baskets, mainly through just dunks or free throws. I mean, you go through the log here, and Kuminga hit free throws with 7:48 in the game. Then Kuminga had a 2-pointer with 6 minutes in the game. Then he had that dunk off the Lindy Waters assist to bring it within 5 with 5:32 in the game. Then hits 2 more free throws at 3:28. I mean, he is doing all this work, but down the stretch, the ball is rightfully so in one of the greatest players of all time's hands. But this is one of those moments where you remember where you were and you say, now may be the time where you hand the keys, the second set of keys, right? I mean, I made the analogy on the last show that we did. Maybe it's time you let, Jonathan Kuminga You're taking a trip up to Tahoe, you let them drive up to Sacramento, something like that. Curry takes you the rest of the way, or vice versa. They each have their moments, but you ride the hot hand in this situation. And I mean, Kuminga kind of took it upon himself to be the hot hand by getting to the free throw line and hitting just enough of them to give the Golden State Warriors the win. Greatest play of the game. It was, I think, back-to-back possession because Dennis Schroeder is turning down threes left and right with about 90 seconds to go in the game. You can kind of hear the fans like, shoot it, you're wide open. At the same time, he hadn't hit anything. He was 0 of 6 in the game. So instead, he takes it to the rim and finishes with a little finesse, a little power, just gets right to the bucket and lays it in. And then the next possession, Schroeder's forced to kind of take a deep three with the shot clock winding down, 1:20 in the game, and nails a 30-foot three-point jumper. Finally, that gives the Golden State Warriors a 104-103 lead. Then Steph Curry, a little 26-foot three-point step back. We've seen that shot go down many times. I was thinking it was a chance for a night, and there was just a lid on the rim down the stretch for him. Had some good looks, and they all rimmed out. He misses the shot, and then Andrew Wiggins fouls Kevin Durant, 70 feet away from the basket? So Durant goes to the free throw line. He hits his 2 free throws. The Suns go up 105-104. What happens from there? Jonathan Kuminga off an awesome inbounds play from Steve Kerr. They try to get 2-for-1 going with 29 seconds. They say, let's put it up before these 5 seconds are up so we get another chance and don't give Phoenix the final chances to either make a play or hit free throws to win this game. And what does Kuminga do? He slithers free onto the bucket, misses the layup, but he goes to the line and hits 2 more clutch free throws in the game. That gives Golden State the lead, and that would be all they needed, but they would tack on 3 more down the stretch, more of them from Jonathan Kuminga. So Kuminga, who goes for his career high in just a disgusting game. Now, for those of you that stayed up and watched the entire Warriors game against the LA Clippers, it was a nightmare. I use the bird box analogy sometimes. No, it was like that. I mean, it was a terrible game. The Warriors scored 19 points in the third quarter. And what'd they shoot from 3 in that game against the LA Clippers? 18%, 7 of 38 from 3, 36% from the floor. They didn't have Steph Curry in the game. They didn't have Draymond Green. And it was Kuminga carrying the load. He had 34 points in the game. The team had 92. I mean, he had more than a third of their points in the game. And then today, the shots not falling once again for the Golden State Warriors. You look at the final numbers on the box score, and Golden State was just 12 of 45 from 3, 26%. So this strategy that they had at the beginning of the year, hey, let's motion offense, good ball movement, let's keep throwing different bodies at you and burying threes, it's not working anymore. When you're shooting 26% from 3, you probably shouldn't be taking 45 three-pointers. Use Steph Curry's gravity to help, open up some lanes. You're always going to have that as an option, and take the ball to the rim. And Jonathan Kuminga was the one who got it done today. 12 of 20 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, got to the free throw line 12 times, hit 8 of them, had 5 offensive rebounds, 9 rebounds in the game, 3 assists, a steal, a +9, and led the way for 34 points. By far, our player of the game. We may have just seen a star born in front of our eyes. So I have one thing to say to Steve Kerr, because this will be a fireable offense. If Jonathan Kuminga from here on out, we know what this roster is. We know how flawed it is. There is one way for this team to be good. It involves Jonathan Kuminga, whether through a trade or whether him being a secondary scorer on this team. You have to give him the minutes. I know Steve Kerr has said, I'm going to coach him like anyone else. He makes a bad play, he's coming out of the game. Hogwash. No. Absolute baloney. You're not doing that. Let's continue the conversation. The Warriors get the W. And of course, on today's show, that is not the correct graphic. Curry's heroics, not spoiled. Warriors get the win over the Phoenix Suns. Let's continue here on Locked On Warriors. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and the perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Show continues. All right, everyone. So the Warriors getting ready for a little matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know what happened the last time they played Cleveland in Cleveland? It was when the Warriors were riding really high, and unfortunately it did not end well for Golden State, losing by, 18 points in that game. Got off to a very flat start, but we're going to celebrate a win. We're not going to talk at all about Cleveland. We're going to continue the talks about Jonathan Kuminga. Slide into the comments, everyone. We are definitely going to be featuring all these things. Golden State, man. Just when you thought they were dead, just when you were ready to wheel the coffin onto the Chase Center floor, they pop out. Now, here's the deal. The team they are who they are at this point. The beginning of the year was definitely a mirage, and a lot of it was due to Buddy Hield being literally an all-star. He played like an all-star the first couple weeks at the beginning of the season. He really did. Today, he goes 0 for 7 from the floor, 0 of 7 from 3, 0 points in the game. That's not a recipe to win. So for the Warriors to get back to what they were at the beginning of the year, it's going to involve someone picking up that Buddy Hield 20 points per night, consistent scoring role. Someone that you can count on off the bench or in the starting unit to give Steph Curry some help. And unfortunately, I think it's safe to say it's just not going to be Buddy Hield consistently. The looks aren't as good as they were at one point. Still not bad. He's just not hitting shots. And you know there's going to be a moment or a stretch that comes around where he gets red hot, starts burying some threes again, and wins the Warriors a game or 2 or 3 down the stretch of this season. Or the other thing is his minutes decline, and he just doesn't really have much of a role on this team. I said it before the season began, and 2 weeks into the year, I said this take goes in the Smithsonian with how Buddy Hield is playing. Because I said he doesn't move the needle at all. He's a role player, and his role is to shoot, and that obviously helps in a game that is defined by who can make shots. But there's a reason why he fell out of the rotation in Philly. There's a reason why he fell out of the rotation in Indiana. There's a reason why he's on his, 5th team? There's a reason. He has limitations. Great human being from all sources. A really good basketball player. Has had stretches where he has won the Warriors some games that they may need down the stretch of the year to get into the playoffs. But he is what he is. So where are you going to find your scoring? And I like what the Warriors kind of did down the stretch, put the ball in Jonathan Kuminga's hands and go make a play. And find more players like this. Because the motion, small ball, 3-point shooting, it's done. It's not going to happen again. If you want to win Steph Curry, and you want Steph to get his 5th with the Warriors, it's going to have to be done a different way. It just is. It just is. And the strength and numbers talk that we had at the beginning of the year, because that was a serious talking point at the beginning of the year. They were running 12 guys out, and the bench unit was awesome. I mean, first 3-4 games of the year, Portland, Utah, whatever it may be, starting lineup looked bad. The bench would come in, huge flurry. It's a 10-point Warriors lead. That's not the case anymore. Well, technically it is because Kuminga went for 34 off the bench. But let's get real. Kuminga should not be coming off the bench. And if he is, you better be getting him 34 minutes like he got today. Because everything, every statistic out there, every split that you see, when Kuminga has more than 30 minutes in a game, he averages more than 20 points. He can flat out put the ball in the bucket. And when he's grabbing rebounds as well, he changes the identity of the Warriors to let's get the ball to the rim. Let's get the ball to the rim and play from there. Lindy Waters had 3 points off the bench. Brandon Pajemski, who left the game with an oblique strain, did not return. We will monitor his progress on future episodes of the show because they're going to need him. Because Peyton's out. Anderson gets a DNP. Moses Moody, I don't know if that was a coach's decision tonight to not get a single minute of burn and only go with the 9-man rotation, or if he's just hurt. I mean, that's life in the NBA. I cover this thing for a living, and I can't even figure out what the hell's going on with these rotations half the time. I mean, it's confusing. It's extremely confusing, and it's frustrating, quite frankly, as a fan. Trace Jackson Davis, 16 points, 10 rebounds in the game today. Trace Jackson Davis starting to look like a pretty formidable big down there. Now, he's got limitations too, but vertically, he's not challenged. He plays bigger than his size and played well in the game today. Draymond Green, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Draymond Green's polarizing right now. There's a lot of polarizing questions that we have to ask ourselves as Warriors fans as you enter the trade deadline. Because in order to make the team better, or at least make the team look different, because we all agree that this iteration, unless Kuminga goes crazy, this iteration of the Golden State Warriors is going nowhere. I mean, when your ultimate goal is to win an NBA championship, they're going nowhere. They just don't have the roster to get it done. And the only way to bring in some new players, because you have Green, you have Wiggins, you have Curry, you have these guys tied up for multiple years through 2027. The only way to bring in new players is to make a tough decision. Now, the easiest decision to really hit the reset button, bring in a ton of draft picks, and be in a good spot in 2-3 years is to trade Steph Curry. But you're not doing that. You're not doing that. What you are doing is going to give Steph Curry every chance possible to win another NBA championship, and this probably isn't it. The current iteration of what they have right now. Don't trade Jonathan Kuminga. I've been waffling with the takes for a while now. I've seen enough. Don't trade Jonathan Kuminga. He's now done this 30-piece when he gets the 30-plus minutes, 3-4 times this season. Most of them with Steph Curry off the floor. Tonight, he was the alpha. He was the team's best player. No doubt about it. And went crazy in the fourth quarter. You put the ball in his hands and you said, JK, put your head down and take it to the rim. Take it to the rim. And then make enough of your free throws, 8 of 12, where we can get the W on your back. So I kind of look at the roster right now and say, how are they going to shake this thing up? Because they're not trading Steph Curry. The hope is he retires as a member of the Golden State Warriors. And really the only way that I think he probably wouldn't is if he asks out. And after the last couple of games and, you know, the mood around the team, that becomes more and more viable. Maybe not this year, but you have him for years. That's the hard part of this equation. You don't want to punt on a season, especially when your best player is 36 years of age. You don't want to punt because it gets harder to win championships as he gets into his 39 and 40th year on this earth. So what you do now is you surround him with a better nucleus of players, whether that's off the bench or whether that's, getting another really good player. Hell, a name that has been brought up, but I have not really entertained. And the more I think about it, the more I'm at least intrigued by the possibility. Now, I don't think it works if you have Steve Kerr as your head coach long-term because he doesn't really fit the style. But when you talk about bringing in a second star to help out Steph Curry, a name that would actually make sense that's a tease. We're talking about it on the other side. You're going to have to stick around, everyone. We're featuring your questions on the break coming up. This is Locked On Warriors, a winning edition for the Golden State Warriors. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action. For those of you that had money on that Cincinnati Bengals Denver Broncos game today, I know there was someone out there that had money on that game. What an insane finish that was in the game. But yeah, right before the playoffs, now's a good time to get in with America's #1 sports book because new customers can finish the season strong You'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways to pick up a W. I love betting on which players are going to score a touchdown, how many points each team's going to score. Sometimes, a little plus 200,000 bet where you bet the score on the money. Not plus 200,000, maybe a little bit of exaggeration, but you get the point. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Show rolls on. '21st clutch game for the Golden State Warriors. They lost 12 of them. They finally pull it out today. The old saying is, good teams find ways to win. Well, it's the Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. And right now, the Golden State Warriors are mediocre, a sliver better than mediocre, 29 seconds away from being below mediocre. But that's kind of what they are. And that's with a very nice cushion to begin the season when the Warriors started off 11-2. But I thought the Warriors were just absolutely toast when they fouled Durant 70 feet away, sending him to the line with 29 seconds. And they found a way to get it done. Now, the inverse way that you can look at this entire thing is the Warriors are losing so many close games. So maybe they're not actually a bad team. My argument would be bad teams just find ways to lose over and over. And that's what the Warriors have done this season. It's been different way after different way. Sometimes they'll score 133 and lose. Sometimes they'll score 90 and lose. You just do not know. But today, a clutch win, it's a start. It's something to build off of. And that's what the Warriors need is they have another 40 days or so without really doing the math in my head, something like that, to dissect where they are and figure out what the best move is moving forward. But I feel comfortable with the ball in Kuminga's hands, and I feel a style, a culture shift to where Curry's obviously your shooter, but aside from that, you got athletes on this team. That is your number one strength. It's defense, and it's getting the ball to the basket, because despite the Warriors being undersized, they're pretty good at attacking the rim. They're pretty good at finishing around the rim. They grab rebounds. They're never really physically dominated in that statistic down low. One of the issues that they have, I will say, by being small is they overhelp. And because they overhelp, you have the tendency to give up a lot of wide open three-pointers. And Phoenix missed a lot of those wide open three-pointers down the stretch of the game today. They shot at just 25% from three. They knocked two more down. It's a different tune. But Kevin Durant, 31 points. He can still play, folks. He led the way. I told you, my Christmas wish, I know it's never going to happen. I'd love to see him play for the Dubs again. I would absolutely love it. I just don't know a way to get that done. Bradley Beal goes for 28 and plays 40 minutes in the game today for the Phoenix Suns. And aside from that, Ryan Dunn, 15. Josh Okogie had 11. And then just a few nibbles from other guys on this team. But I teased it before the break. The Warriors, if they do start attacking the basket and really rely on their athleticism, because let's get real, Wiggins is an elite athlete. Elite. Kuminga, beyond elite. He's top tier in the NBA. Draymond, even at this age, athletic dude. Smart guy. Let's put it that way. Maybe not the best athlete in the NBA, but where he makes up for his athleticism is just due to his ability to read defenses, to, quite frankly, analyze what the offense is doing and know where he's supposed to be on the floor at all times and play more athletic, play quicker, play bigger than he actually is. That's what he's done for his entire career. So who would be a player that you could actually bring in that fits what this team is doing right now when they're playing at their best, which is attacking, and would help them win? Zach LaVine. No. And look, LaVine put up 37 the other night. Like, he gives you that piece that we talked about, how when Buddy Hield scores more than 20 points, the Warriors are winning every single game. LaVine can get you 20 in his sleep. The issue is he's expensive. And I just don't know. I've heard from Bulls fans that I respect that cover the team. Is he a winning player? or they empty calories in a lot of losses? I do not know. But I don't think you want to get smaller. That's not who I'm thinking of here. Next on the list, we go with Jimmy Butler. One problem, many problems. One, I mean, sure, Wiggins didn't look great in the game today. Just 3 of 12 from the floor, had 7 points. It's actually back-to-back games where Wiggins has not looked very good after being really the most consistent player on this team to begin the year. It would involve getting rid of Andrew Wiggins to bring back Jimmy Butler, and it would involve other things too, and potentially Jonathan Kuminga and potentially draft picks. And I'd be pulling out my hair if the Warriors got rid of draft picks and it did not amount to serious contention right away. And quite frankly, serious contention, or at least a competitor in each of the next 3 seasons. Because at some point, this dynasty that's been built is going to crumble. Most likely, unless you're the San Antonio Spurs, who can just bring in different iterations year after year and somehow figure out ways to, keep it alive with Tim Duncan as the centerpiece. Most likely, you get older, you fall out of contention. We're seeing it with Phoenix right now. They got an older roster relying on Durant and Bradley Beal. And now's also a good time to tell you, although this is a huge win, Devin Booker's a pretty big piece for the Phoenix Suns. He did not play a single minute in the game today, a DNP. So take that for what it's worth. But to bury the lead that I've been talking about for so long, that player that may make sense, because it's not Butler and bringing in his $50 million, the guy that wants an extension. It could be Zion Williamson. You're looking for a star? He's got the best potential to be a star of any single name. The Zach LaVine, the Jimmy Butler, the Cam Johnson, whoever may. Like Zion Williamson, if healthy, is a star. You pair him next to Steph, you may have your cornerstone if you luck out. Now, let's look at the risks here. The risks are he doesn't play a single game, because we've seen how the Zion Williamson experience has turned out. And what it is when it matters most late in the season, he's on a milk carton. He's nowhere to be found. Can you trust that? It's a risk, but guess what? Getting back to the top is probably going to involve some sort of a risk. And I've been thinking about it more and more. If you pair him with Jonathan Kuminga, if you can keep Kuminga in this situation, Wiggins is your casualty, who literally 3 days ago I said was an untradeable asset. How quickly that changes when Kuminga looks like he has the last week or so. And Kuminga's shown spurts of this all season long. The question is, can he consistently do it? You see it in back-to-back games for the first time, it feels like. And it's like, okay, give the guy the minutes and let's ride, Steve. Give the guy the second set of keys. Come on now. But Williamson's, I mean, I don't understand how he would play with a Steve Kerr system. Kerr would have to change things. And who knows if the Pelicans are 100% willing to depart with him. But financially, it's what, $35 million, I think. That's possible to make happen. Possible. You'd probably have to get rid of some draft capital. You definitely have to get rid of some draft capital there. But maybe you can get that draft capital back by, trading away Schroeder come deadline time. He hasn't seemed to fit in great. You can trade him 2 days before the deadline. He becomes trade eligible. Maybe you can get a second, or probably not a first, but you can get one of those seconds back or something and start stockpiling that way. Moses Moody doesn't seem to be a fit on this team at this point. Does anyone else want to take a look at Moses Moody? I know the financial graveyard of him making more money next year and sending him out and having to match that. It's confusing. It takes more than 10 seconds on a podcast to discuss. But could that be someone you're looking to send away? I do not know. What I do know is Zion would attack, and he would be a whole lot of fun to watch for this basketball team. So to the mailbag, let's see how many people hate the idea of Zion Williamson. I will risk it with Zion, says A1. I mean, it's definitely a risk. It is 1,000% a risk if you go after him. But the contract kind of lines up. I mean, he's on his rookie extension through 2027. He's not the most money in the world. And if he turns out to be a superstar that's healthy for the next 2 or 3 seasons, he could be a huge bargain. He could be a huge bargain. The question is, the viewer, the listener, do you believe that he's going to stay healthy? That's what I don't know. There's no easy way to get this done, guys. That's the issue right now. There's no easy way to get it done. The easiest way to build for the future is you just blow the entire thing up. It doesn't seem like they're going to blow the entire thing up. So if that's the case, how are we going to get Steph Curry more help? That's the question. How are we going to now get Jonathan Kuminga more help if he's become an untradeable? And maybe his value just went up so much that he's a part of the package to bring in the next player. The only people that know right now are the front office, but something needs to be done, and something needs to be done quickly, because let's not let a 4-point win over the Phoenix Suns missing Devin Booker after a night where your future without Steph Curry was on full display, and it was gross. It was, quite frankly, an abomination. So we're getting passes on Zion, Ingram, Ben Simmons now coming into the mix somehow. No. Defensively is a nice player. Zion will always be injured, says Dino. Maybe so. There's a very good possibility of that, but there's also a very good possibility he's 24 years of age, that $30 million that you're talking about right now, that it's attached to him, looks like a bargain next year when he's averaging 25, 10, and 5 for whichever team he's playing for. Kai Soto, we've been hearing that campaign. We'll look into that. Here's the thing that I actually want to bring up. Lindy Waters hasn't looked good. He is what he is at this point. He's a role player, and he should be buried towards the bottom of the bench. I would look into bringing up Kevin Knox. Seriously, I thought he looked all right in the summer league. I was attacking the glass more than he had in years past and was playing harder on defense, which has always been kind of the negative attached to him. It's A, he shoots a ton of threes and only hits them at like a 33% clip, and B, maybe just not the motor. But he looked like someone that was trying to earn his way a spot on an NBA floor by the time the season was all said and done. He gives you a 6'9" frame. Lindy hasn't been lighted up from 3. Let's get real. So maybe you bring in Knox at some point this season and just see what he can do. And if you make one of those trades where you're sending away multiple players to bring in one big-time star, I mean, he's in-house. That's a way to bolster your roster, to bring him up from Santa Cruz, where he's averaging 18 points and I think like 8 rebounds per game this season. So he's looked good. And this is the big question from our friend Norwegian Hellhound, one of the everydayers. And to those of you that are a part of the everyday, we appreciate you. We're here for you. It's JK's playing great, but let's see how long it keeps up for. That's the storyline of the season, folks, because at the beginning of the year, Buddy was playing great. Let's see how long it keeps up for. Then Steph, goes off, and it's like after the Dallas game, could this guy, could he be in the MVP conversation? He's not going to win it with some of the stars out there at this day and age, but could he be in that conversation? And the next thing you know, he's having games where he's not hitting a single field goal a game. But you know what I mean. But that is the big question right now. Consistency. If you give JK this role where every single game you're playing him 30 minutes, no matter what he's doing, even if he's not looking good, you're playing him 30 minutes. You've made that commitment. And that's what Steve Kerr needs to do starting right now. I said fireable offense. I mean it. Fireable offense if he does not play the guy 30 minutes per game, because it's your only path to getting to the promised land now and, quite frankly, in the future. Because if he does not pan out, you're tied into aging players right now that are making 75% of your money in Wiggins, Draymond, and Steph Curry. Your draft picks, if you're right around the middle, are not going to be lottery based. So, I mean, what are you doing? Where's the help coming from? So there's got to be something bold done here soon, but it's not that bold to play Jonathan Kuminga 30 minutes a game. It's really not. It's logical at this point. It is logical. I get a Kevin Knox, yes. Hey, at some point this season. I'm not saying tomorrow, but at some point, let's see it. All right. We go 34 minutes on a Saturday night. It's what we do, everyone. Appreciate all the comments. If I had a producer in the back, if Kolsky, gave me some time to look through the comments, I could feature more. But I'm going to have Kolsky on for a live stream, I think 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. We probably won't go live since it's at 9 a.m. But I'll be posting that first thing in the morning, early afternoon, something along those hours, is we get the take from Matt Kolsky. And you know that Kolsky's fired up right now. He's dancing. He's got this on right now, calling Steve a clown for not playing Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, that's been his stance this entire season. And I've been kind of wait and see. I don't know if he is this cornerstone guy that can put up 25 points a night and play good defense and get you good rebounding and give you the desired IQ plays that you're going to see on defense. Because let's go back a couple games ago against the Los Angeles Lakers on Christmas. At the end of the day, Wiggins got cooked, right? Austin Reeves cooked him. But at the same time, we can all agree that the help side defense was nowhere to be found. And you could say, oh, well, Hachimura would have slid in bounds and taken the oop and it would have been game over. He wasn't even looking at the ball. Rule number one of being a defender, you got to see the ball. You got to see the ball. You got to see your man. You got to have eyes in the back of your head or the sides. You don't have eyes in the back of your head. And that's why you're not defending that way. So still a lot to be desired, man. But he's 22 years of age. He's 22. And if you could find a way to get Zion Williamson and pair him with Steph Curry and Jonathan Kuminga, and that may mean getting rid of Draymond Green. Like, I am open to all things at this point. Curry's the only untouchable. We heard it all offseason. Never mentioned Draymond Green. Said Steph Curry was the only untouchable. And Draymond played well. But if you're changing things up, and if you're going to start to attack the basket, if you're going to play more pick and roll, and you're going to try to find where some of these young players thrive, specifically Jonathan Kuminga, you're going to have to make some tough decisions to shake things up because no one's gift wrapping you a star. You got to match salaries, and it may involve some draft picks as well. So just be smart. We're taking it one day at a time. And my take after today's game is Jonathan Kuminga. Oh, baby. What a talent he looks to be. At times, please do not disappear against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Make it 3 straight games of reaching or setting a new career high. And all of a sudden, we're cooking with Crisco, baby. We are cooking with Crisco. It's Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the day before New Year's. It's the 30th of January. And then after that, run down the schedule real quick after Cleveland. It gets a little easier for a game. It's Philadelphia, then it's Memphis, it's Sacramento, who just fired Mike Brown. We're going to debate that on tomorrow's show with Kolsky. How dumb of it was the Kings to fire Mike Brown, and should the Warriors bring him back as kind of a defensive analyst, as a defensive coordinator that sits on the bench with Jerry Stackhouse? Or is that just, let the bygones be bygones? We'll figure that out. This is Locked On Warriors. It's free and available everywhere. Google search us to find us. You can also find us on audio podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever it may be. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Peace. Warriors win.